In the previous videos I've been making about Risk of Rain 2, I'd like to say that all of those video concepts came to mind because of unique little quirks in the game or facts that I didn't really see people explain on the internet, and I kind of wanted to fill that void, and that's been really fun. And for the most part, it's been about pretty minor things, like, the chance stall having a bit of ambiguity and confusion in what it's actually doing, or the growth nectar acting weird and maybe bugging out a bit. And for the most part, that stuff was all pretty basic. But let me tell you, dear viewer, nothing has made me feel more emotions, shall we say, than the Noxious Thorn item. And before I get into what that means, because it is gonna be quite the little journey we're going on today, I guess I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for all of your support on the previous videos for Risk of Rain 2. I will be continuing to make content on this game as I find things that have not been covered on the internet and are genuinely interesting for me to talk about and hopefully interesting for you to learn. So if you are looking for more nonsense on behalf of this video game Risk of Rain 2, please subscribe to the channel Kilroy Was Here for more Risk of Rain 2 and potentially other weird things that I can find on the internet. Now, going into the weird part of this little item right here, the Noxious Thorn added the Seekers of the Storm DLC, like all of the items I've been covering so far. There are like 3 levels of confusion in this item. Level 1 is a level I think a lot of people are familiar with. The level of game balance. Why was this item made the way it is and put into this game? If you get a tri-tip dagger, that will apply a 10% chance for your attacks to apply 1 stack of bleed to an enemy. Now, do you know how many times the average survivor is applying a proc every second? Consider the commando. You can shoot an enemy like 3 times in a second just by holding down the left mouse button. And over the course of like 10 seconds, while you don't have to get hit at all, you could apply like 4 or 5 stacks of bleed with 1 tri-tip dagger. If you get the Noxious Thorn, you have to get hit on average 4 times by an enemy to apply 2 stacks of bleed. No one is sitting around waiting to die so that they can do 2 bleed stack worth of damage. And this is the uncommon item. Tri-tip dagger, no, that's common, that's basic. That's something we want the player to be getting a lot of. The Noxious Thorn, though, no, that's premium. Now that's a quality of item that we want to reserve for things like the ATG and the Noxious Thorn, the real winners in our society of Risk of Rain 2. And to top it off of that, of course, that's not the only effect of this item. Kilroy, you're being disingenuous. It has another line right here. If the enemy has some other debuff that is stackable, instead of just adding 2 bleed, it will add 1 to those stackable debuffs. Isn't that something great? No, it's not great. And you know why it's not great? Let me list off to you, dear reader, all of the stackable debuffs in Risk of Rain 2. There are bleed and collapse, both probably the best, and 1 stack of those is worth nothing. Burn, even less worthwhile than bleed or collapse. Hemorrhage, a status usable by 1 character in the game, the bandit, and really I don't even ever use hemorrhage on the bandit. Maybe other people do. I ignore it very largely and just shoot with my gun. Lunar Root, a debuff that I guarantee you 99% of people have never heard of. It's on the hooks of Heresy, and it just gives you the 10 to bubble effect for 3 seconds. Incredible. Permanent armor debuff from the Symbiotic Scorpion, an effect that you can get just by hitting an enemy once with your M1, and not waiting to get beat to death to activate 1 more stack of it. Ruin, the 4th Heresy items effect that also you can get just by shooting an enemy with your M1. and Shattering Justice, an effect which does absolutely nothing until you stack 5 of it, and which is just as easy to stack. And that's everything. I just listed for you every single stackable debuff that you as a player can inflict to an enemy with some items, and none of them are worth anything with one more stack added to them. Who came up with the idea for this item and said that these values were worth anything at all? Please tell me. But that's not the end of it, dear viewer. No. That is the surface. That is the base surface. Because, as I will demonstrate in this video, this entire effect of this item is wrong. Not because I'm sure the developers didn't want to add this confusing effect, but because it's all bugged. If you go in-game, the bleed stacks work really weird when activated from this item, and from what I've seen, the add 1 to stackable debuffs does not happen at all. That entire second line is just a lie, because the game was programmed in a way that this item does not work according to that line at all. But here's the real kicker. In most cases, an item being bugged in Risk of Rain 2 is bad for the player. Consider the Growth Nectar video I just made, where the Growth Nectar did not give you the buffs unless you actively attacked or did something to activate them. That's detrimental, because you would want the Growth Nectar to be giving you all of your buffs all the time. However, I have discovered through testing that the way this item is entirely broken and not functioning properly is in most cases a 1000% buff to the player, to the point where I would genuinely recommend you pick up one Noxious Thorn if you're playing any run. Like, I'm serious. I just crapped on this item's in-game effect, listed effect, for like multiple minutes, but I'm telling you, you will see in this video, the bugged effect of this item is genuinely pretty good, to the point where if this item is never patched, I would recommend you pick up probably just one in any given run. Now, what is that bug effect? I will show you, but first I'm going to show you how this item works in terms of the lies of the stacking debuffs and bleed debuffs. Apologies for having a bit longer of an intro for this video. I simply needed an outlet to express the pent-up rage in me, and this poor sweet video game, Risk of Rain 2, happened to be the nearest target. So thank you so much for providing me an outlet, Risk of Rain 2. Now, I am here to show you why all of the information on the Noxious Thorn's item page is nonsense. Now, the first thing that item says is that on being hit, it applies 2 stacks of bleed to enemies. I'm going to show you why that's weirdly true and also not true. Okay, so 1 stack of bleed on these Lemurians does 4 damage. So 2 would do 8. I think that's some nice quick math right there. So we'd expect them just to be taking 8 bleed damage when this procs. It doesn't. They take 5. Now, how the hell do they take 5 bleed damage when 1 proc of bleed deals 4 damage, and now they're taking 6 damage? What the hell is happening, game? And what I'm gathering from this is that the Noxious Thorn bleed is not even bleed. It's like a new bleed they've added into the game with this item, which makes it worse than normal bleed, because I don't even know if it stacks normally, because you'll see when it activates. If I normally get bleed to proc, 1 will go above their health bar, and you'll see it for like a brief second, just like how you're seeing it with Ruin. You see that 1 bleed. If I proc it with Noxious Thorn though, nothing pops up. They just start dying of spontaneous cancer, and that's it. There's no visual cue, there's just nothing about this item is working correctly. How the hell did this get released onto this game with a description that seemingly is wrong, because 5 and 6 damage is not 4 times 2, which would be the damage of 2 bleed stacks, and what is happening, basically? That is my question to you, the world. What is happening with this item? There you go, 4 bleed damage. Hit me again. 5, 6, 6, 5, 5, 6, what? I don't know. Now, that in itself is weird, And I think that's the more upsetting part of this, because I genuinely don't know how this item works with that going on. It's like a secondary tick of bleed is being added that is not dealing two bleed stacks worth of damage, but it is adding damage, so it is doing something. But if you want to look at the secondary thing that was listed for the item, that all debuffs on enemies will get added by 1 if you get Noxious Thorns, then it's not like that is confusing too. No, that just doesn't work. There we go, 1 stack of Ruin. Now, proc the Noxious Thorns. He still has 1 stack of Ruin, and also it was hard to show that, I'm sorry, because his health bar didn't show up, so let me try this again. Okay, 1 stack of Ruin. This Lemurian is body blocking me. Mr. President, thank you. This is another phenomenon I'm going to be talking about. This is the bug I mentioned earlier. I don't want to spoil it for this section. There you go. He still has 1 stack of Ruin. You saw that it just procced again. He has 1 stack, and I'm going to shoot him again, he has 2. It does not add to stacks of existing debuffs. That second line of this item description is just wrong. There is nothing true. This item does not add to your current existing debuffs at all. And it probably doesn't even add 2 stacks of bleed. It adds 2 stacks of Sneed. That's what I'm calling it. This is the Noxious Thorn brand new debuff added for the Seekers of the Storm. It's called Sneed. Sneakers of the Sneed. That's what they should have called this DLC. Gearbox, pay me. I'm giving you all the creative ideas you need for this game. So, that's that. And now I'm gonna make the chapters option in YouTube switch over and talk about the bug that I mentioned before. And you have already been seeing it in action. I'm gonna activate the teleporter just to make this even clearer. When you activate the Noxious Thorn debuff in this game, it messes with the enemy's targeting systems entirely. Now, I believe what is happening is that when you inflict Sneed to the world with your Noxious Thorn debuff, that debuff is treated as if it was inflicted on enemies by other enemies. In fact, I believe it is specifically treated as if the enemy who shot you and activated the Noxious Thorns is now an enemy to everyone else on the stage. So I will show you what that means. If one of these guys hits me and activates my Noxious Thorn debuff, all the enemies around me who get hurt by it are going to start attacking them. Now hit me. There you go. So I just activated it, big chain reaction there, and you're going to notice everyone who got inflicted with Sneed is no longer targeting me, including the Beetle Queen. The Beetle Queen and everyone else on this stage are now, who are they attacking? It looks like they're attacking, oh, it got activated again. Who are they attacking now? It looks like a lot of them are shooting after that one Wisp who probably shot me to activate the Noxious Thorn debuff. So this is a cluster F of an item, basically. If you get if you get 1 stack of this item and it ever procs, you've basically removed all enemy targeting of you for the foreseeable future. Now, I believe if I start shooting again, they will target me because that's just how enemy targeting works. But look, basically no one on this stage even cares about me right now. It is crazy. Okay, some of these Beetle Guards do because I believe they're newer spawns. But like all the Beetles and Lemurians, they don't care. And you could see that Golem just switched targeting entirely because someone else activated the debuff again. Like, genuinely, this is a way better effect than whatever nonsense they were cooking with the 1 bleed stack and like 1 other debuff. It has made the Noxious Thorn one of my most fun, like, new items, the most entertaining thing you can get in a run, because you can just stand in the middle and try to get it to activate on a low damage enemy and watch as Risk of Rain 2 turns into a Battle Royale mode. Now, it sucks because enemies can't damage each other in this game, so really you're just wasting time if you want to run around and watch enemies go free for all. But it's very entertaining, like no joke, especially getting bosses to attack other people. So I just got this activated on the Beetle Queen. She doesn't care about me anymore. She is on the prowl for the guy who had hurt her. I want to see her launch her balls. No, she's still after me. I'm sorry, that was a complete lie. Someone else proc Sneed so that the Beetle Queen can get mad at them. There you go. You. This is chaos, and I know this is barely a guide at all. This is just a curiosity exhibit. But what kind of guide should I give? I can't give you a good use case for the base description of this item. One, because it's a lie, and two, because even if it was true, you know what my use case would be? Scrap it. If the Risk of Rain 2 Noxious Thorn description was 100% accurate, my advice to you would be toss it in the trash for any other green in this game. But as it stands, this is what you do. You get one of these babies and you let the world devolve into chaos. Let chaos take the world. And that is all the advice I have for you. It is not really advice, but it's it's a guide to a good day. So hey, ladies and gentlemen, if this gets patched in the future, I'll be very sad. It probably will. But if you're watching this in the year of 2024, then you're probably gonna be free to just set up this madness. Now go have fun and have a good day.